Are you tired of thinking about drinking, trying to control it, and ending up in the same loop? Welcome to the Feel Good Alcohol Free podcast, where high achieving women learn how to step out of the stop start cycle and build a life that feels calm, clear, and alcohol free on purpose. I'm your host, Lindsay, accredited sober coach and former high functioning drinker. After more than a decade of drinking every night while keeping up a big career and a life that looked fine from the outside, I rebuilt my identity from the inside out. Now I help women stop negotiating with themselves and trust their own decisions again. This isn't a podcast full of cliches or willpower pep talks. You're getting real conversations, lived experience coaching, and practical tools you can use inside your actual life, not perfect conditions. So take a breath. You're here because you're ready to feel good in your real life. So let's get started. Welcome back to the Feel Good Alcohol Free podcast. A lot of you are one full week into dry January, and right about now, you're probably noticing some shifts in your energy, your motivation, your evenings, cravings, emotions, maybe even your confidence. So here's what I want to start with today. Whatever you're feeling right now is normal. And not only is it normal, it's part of the process. There are three very common emotional experiences that show up around this time in dry January. And so today we're going to walk through all three, and you can start to think about as I'm talking, like, oh yeah, that's kind of where I am. Or maybe this isn't your first dry January, and something that I bring up today is an experience you've had during another break from not drinking, or, maybe you recently did sober September or sober October or last year's dry January, whatever that is. Something here might ring a bell inside you. We're going to walk through all three, and you are going to understand basically what's happening in your brain, what's happening in your body, and why your patterns feel the way that they do. And most importantly, I'm going to give you some direction on what to do next based on these three things. Dry January isn't just about the decision to stop drinking for a month. It's about understanding yourself on a deeper level and your patterns, your pressure points, your emotional load, your evenings, boundaries. And that's where the real work begins. And I want to share this because let's say that your dry January doesn't go perfectly, or, after dry January is over, oftentimes women find themselves within just a couple of weeks back to their old patterns. And this was true for myself. Every time I would take a break from drinking and then I would have a slip, it would turn into this slide, and I would wind up feeling like I was drinking more than I was before my break, or it just kind of kept getting worse. And so maybe that's familiar to you as well. This time frame, whether or not you drink again after, it is like a little sprint in your journey. You can just look at it as highly focused work that you're doing towards evaluating your relationship with alcohol. And it is part of you creating the version of you who no longer drinks. Don't worry about a slip that you might have or anything like that, because there will be a day where you have your last drink and you're going to feel so good after that. From now on, you're just creating that version of yourself. All right, so let's get going here. Before we talk about these three emotional paths, I want to give you a little context. In week 1 of dry January, most people experience a dopamine spike. It's a new month, a new year, new motivation, new energy. There's a lot of other people doing dry January. So there's sort of this like excuse that we get to say. We feel like we've just got this, oh, I'm doing dry January excuse. And so it might feel a little bit easier. Your brain loves novelty. It lights up reward centers. But the research tells us that most people begin slipping on their resolutions between January 7th and 14th. And it's not because we don't want to change, and it's not because they lack discipline, but it's because motivation is a short-term fuel source. Neural pathways don't rewire themselves in 1 week, okay? your brain still defaults to the familiar when the pressure rises. So you might have a stressful day at work, and that might just be enough. That might just be, you know what? F dry January. I don't need this anymore. I'm done. And dry January forces your brain to sort of face the reality here. Relief seeking habits don't vanish when the calendar flips. This isn't a willpower problem. This is a capacity and emotional load problem. So if you're feeling anything at all right now, strong or shaky, it makes absolute sense. Okay, we're going to just take a break for a second because I want to talk to you about one of my favorite brands, the Zero Proof. If you're doing dry January, I want to talk about something that actually makes it easier to stick with without relying on willpower. One of the biggest reasons that dry January feels so hard isn't the alcohol itself, it's losing the ritual. The glass, the wind down, the feeling of this is my moment at the end of the day. And that's why I love the Zero Proof so much. They curate genuinely high quality non-alcoholic wines, spirits, and cocktails. And I'm not exaggerating when I say I've tried a lot of NA options over the years that completely missed the mark. These don't. The taste is there, the experience is there. You get to keep the ritual and you wake up feeling clear, proud, and actually rested. No hangover, no regrets. So for dry January, they've put together these incredible curated bundles, whether you want to try a weekend, a week, or go all in for the month. It takes the decision fatigue out of it and makes sticking with your dry January just feel doable. So if you're curious, I've linked my favorites in the show notes, including their dry January bundles and best-selling non-alcoholic wines. This is one of those swaps that genuinely supports the life that you're building, not something you have to white knuckle through. So, okay, let's get back to the episode and you can check out those links in the show notes. All right, I'm ready to dive into the 3 paths. How about you? Okay, let's go. Path 1. I feel great, actually. Some of you might be feeling clear, motivated, energized, or even a little surprised at how good you feel. If that's you, here's why. 1, your nervous system is responding to reduced alcohol load. 2, you are about or starting to experience better quality sleep. 3, your inflammation is going down. Next, I don't know what number I'm on here. I'm just kind of rambling them off. So next, your stress hormones are stabilizing and your identity is shifting faster than you realized. This is what's happening. You're building new patterns, and you might even be thinking to yourself, wow, this is so much easier than I expected. That's not luck. That is alignment. You're not doing dry January well. You're meeting the parts of your life that alcohol used to buffer. And you're maybe even using tools that actually support you. So I want to give you one little gentle offering. Feeling good now does not mean that your urges won't show up later, because your life is still going to be your life. Pressure, logistics, emotions, responsibilities. And your brain is going to say, like, oh, this is how we reach for relief. So if you're feeling motivated, here's your work for this week. Reinforce what's working. I want you to sit down and make a little list of your rituals, your boundaries, and all the little tiny promises that you are making to yourself. Specifically the rituals, because this can help build into your routine. Like if something's working and something makes us feel good, we want to keep doing that. If we're trying to force something in our routine because we think or we've been told that it's, a good morning routine or a good evening routine, if it's not working for you, ditch it. Okay. I always like to keep a little list, and there's 3 columns in my list. What am I going to keep doing? What do I need to start doing? And what do I need to stop doing? Okay. I've used this in my corporate team building backgrounds. I've used this in my personal life. My husband and I use this when we're trying to figure things out for certain projects that we have going on. So this is like a very basic tool that can be so helpful. I reference it quite a bit. Okay, next, don't coast on motivation. Motivation drops, identity carries you. Okay. Motivation is not going to be steady all the time. If you are building a new identity and your actions match the person you want to be, the way you want to be living, then you're going to have steadier motivation because it's going to feel really genuine. You're going to be showing up as yourself and how you want to be living. Okay, build your evening plan now. Okay? If you are starting to get wobbly or if you are just feeling really good, make sure that that evening plan is on lock. This is also about having rituals. Like I kind of go back to the ritual piece of this. What are you doing in the evenings to take care of yourself so that you're not like about to blow in front of the refrigerator, staring at a bottle of Sauvignon Blanc and just getting ready to say F it. So you have to build that evening plan. And this is so that your future self has, scaffolding. We need to take care of ourselves. So here's your homework. Write down the 3 things that helped you succeed this week and commit to repeating them. This is the what should I keep doing? This keeps your momentum intentional. It's not accidental. Okay? Like momentum is going to continue to drive your motivation. So we want to keep up with it. Okay. Path 2. Mostly okay, but something feels off. This is like the quiet friction phase. You're showing up, you're doing the thing, you haven't been drinking, but you're noticing maybe you're a little restless, a little irritable, bored in the evenings. There's resistance creeping in. There's a little voice whispering, just one isn't going to hurt. This doesn't mean that you're failing. This doesn't mean that you're, destined to fail. This is a sign that your brain is adjusting to the new pathway. So here's the little science behind this. Around days 6 to 12, our brain starts to recalibrate its dopamine expectations. And that recalibration can feel like fatigue, cravings, emotional spikes, mental fog. The worst part, low reward sensitivity. Again, all of this is super normal, okay? This path is really the sweet spot for transformation because it's telling you a lot. So it's telling you that your awareness is growing faster than your urges. Now, your assignment, your job this week is to support your nervous system through this recalibration. Here's how you can do that. Create micro moments of relief. Your brain doesn't need a drink. It needs a state change. And so an example of this, this is very much if we want to change our thoughts, we need to change our environment. If we're constantly thinking about drinking, then we need to literally just walk into another room, go outside, take a warm shower, do some stretching, text a friend, change the lighting, go turn the lights on or off, turn them off, and then maybe turn on a salt lamp or some low level lighting. It's just to kind of change your mood. Step away from noise. Sometimes we're go, 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 or back-to-back meetings all day. And then, I don't know, I don't have children, but you might have children. Maybe you've got children bouncing off the walls. You need a minute. And so noise, for me, I become very sensitive to it and I really need that quiet. So just step away into another room, even if you only have 15 to 30 seconds to do that. And when you're doing that, goes to my next one, do a 30-second breath reset. This is just 30 seconds of slowly breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. It's really going to help calm you down. Okay, the next one is naming the moment. You're going to say this out loud. You're going to say this in your mind. You're going to jot this down on a piece of paper. Just say, this is a pressure moment, not a drinking moment. Just remind yourself, I'm not thinking that way anymore. I'm not choosing alcohol when I feel this way. Okay? So then leads me to the next one. Choose again. Take one breath. This is you pausing and giving yourself a little agency to make a different decision. You just need one action that's going to support you. You're not slipping here. You're just recalibrating. Okay. Path 3. Maybe this is you. I'm struggling. If you're already wobbling or if you've already had a drink, I want you to take a breath. You haven't ruined anything. Dry January is not about streaks. It's not about, getting to the finish line, because sometimes getting to the finish line means that you're so focused on getting through the 30 or whatever, 31 days in January, that your brain is like almost mentally preparing for the reward for getting through it to be wine or whatever it is that you like to drink. And so this is actually what reinforces us falling off even harder after January. So don't look at it as just that. Look at it as being about clarity. And often the moment you think is a setback is actually the moment your pattern is kind of showing itself to you. It's revealing itself. So here's what's probably happening if you're struggling. Your brain wants that familiar thing for relief because, listen, good or bad, your brain knows the outcome when you drink, and that's familiar. And so that's what it's always going to tell you to do until you give it the new pattern enough times to where it stops serving up the old suggestion. Your emotional load might be high. Maybe your evenings are unstructured. Maybe your boundaries feel flimsy. Your capacity is stretched. Again, this is all really normal. Your drinking behavior didn't form in 1 week, okay? It wasn't like you drank every night for a week and then you started listening to sober podcasts because you had never drank like that before. Like, that's not what happened, okay? So it's not going to unwind in 1 week. This is where I really want you to know your strategy is not failing. It's just that it wasn't designed for your life. So I promise you that this isn't like you failing. It's that life gets lifey. And when our only coping mechanism to deal with stress and whatever else comes our way is to drink, then that's going to be that sort of natural reaction. So maybe you've been trying to white knuckle it. You've been relying on motivation. Maybe you have some rules telling yourself, I have to be good. I have to do this perfectly. But none of these strategies address pressure, emotional load, like our nervous system cues. They don't address when we're feeling overwhelmed. They certainly don't address your real life evenings and the moment that that urge actually forms, which is usually way earlier in the day. If you think about it, you might start rationalizing and thinking about that glass of wine at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're just counting down the minutes until you get to leave work or whatever, or until the kids go to bed or something. And so that's the moment where you need to take care of yourself, is when you start thinking about it, not at 6 o'clock when you're standing in front of the refrigerator. So if you're struggling, it's okay. This is Everyone's in a different place in this journey. That means that you are seeing the real work. So your job, if this is the category that you're finding yourself in, your job now is to step out of the shame. Shame is going to kill your progress faster than any slip, faster than any glass of wine will, okay? Shame dies when our stories are told. When you sit and wallow in your own shame, it is very, very difficult to pull yourself out of that. Okay, next, identify the moment. What was I feeling right before the urge? What happened? Did a coworker throw you under the bus? Did your husband forget your anniversary? Or my favorite example, did your husband forget to empty the dishwasher? And you've been quietly building resentment for years because you're the one always emptying the dishwasher. Like, we have to identify the little moments that are kind of setting us off, the moments that are telling us like, oh God, I can't wait until this day is over. I can't wait till I can just sit on the couch and drink my glass of wine. What was the feeling right before the urge? Next, build one micro boundary. Okay, these can be small. These are like little promises to yourself. Okay, last week's episode, I talked a lot about inner integrity and creating little promises to yourself that you keep over and over again. That's how you build inner integrity. So maybe it's a little small thing like, I close the kitchen at 8 p.m. Nobody goes in there. I can't go in there. I used to say all the time in my journey, I need to stay out of the kitchen and off the couch. And that was top things for me to not drink. So the next one could be, I promise that I'm going to take a breath before I respond to triggers, stress, whatever the thing is. Maybe it's, I don't make decisions when I'm feeling rushed. We don't have to, like, we have this I don't know, inner expectation that we've put on ourselves that we have to like respond right away. And we have to, give someone an answer. We have to always be doing something for people. And it just isn't the case. It's total BS. And you don't have to do it. You can slow down. Okay. Now, this is going to be the most important thing. If you've been struggling, and even if you've had a slip, you are restarting without drama. Not tomorrow, right now. You're recommitting right now. I don't care if there is literally a glass of wine in your hand right now while you listen to this episode. And totally no shame there, because I used to listen to sobriety podcasts and drink wine all the time during my journey. So if that's you, I see you. I have been you. And if that's what's happening, you just either finish that glass of wine or you dump that thing out and you recommit right now. That's what I have to say about it. So I want to take a moment for you to just check in with yourself. And this is just an opportunity for you to take a breath and ask yourself, what path am I in today? Am I feeling motivated, neutral, friction? Am I struggling? And then ask yourself, what does this version of me need support with? Because listen, your body knows, your intuition knows, and your future self, the one who is like waving at you, she's so proud of you right now. She knows, okay? You're not behind here. You are learning. You are building a version of yourself who doesn't drink. So let me tell you what that means. That means that you are learning about this new version of yourself every single day. Something new is going to come up. You're learning, and you have to get comfortable in this new identity. But sadly, before you get comfortable in her, you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. That's what's going to get you there the fastest. So now that you've identified where you are, motivated, neutral, or struggling, I want to tell you something important that so many women never hear. You are not supposed to know how to do this on your own. And it's not because you're incapable, but because the work required to change your relationship with alcohol is not surface level work. It's not about just removing the drink. It's about repatterning the exact moment that your urge to drink forms. It's about shifting your emotional load. It's about creating capacity where there used to be a large amount of overwhelm. It's about building micro self-trust so that your evenings feel steady instead of just always feeling uncertain and wanting to reach for that glass. It's about understanding what your brain is actually trying to protect you from. And this right here is my genius. And this is my favorite part about the women that I get to work with inside Feel Good AF. I help you decode why that urge is happening, exactly where the pressure builds, what your system is asking for, how to interrupt the pattern at the root, and which tools regulate your nervous system instead of inflaming it. Because right now, you are very likely just not taking care of yourself. So, we also cover what your identity is shifting toward. That's you learning all about this version of you that you're building, all along the side of how to design evenings that support the woman that you're becoming. Most women try to quit drinking by controlling their behavior, so many rules, and then beating themselves up for not following the rules. But behavior is actually the last step in the loop here. And this is what I teach my clients. I teach them, if you change the moment beneath the moment, the behavior is actually going to change on its own. And this is why women who join Feel Good AF do not just have a better dry January. They become women who no longer need alcohol, women who trust themselves at 6 p.m., women who follow through on their choices, whose nervous systems no longer hijack their evenings, and they stay steady even when life is really messy. So, this is why I want you to focus on building your integrity. And this isn't through perfection, but through identity. This is exactly what I help you do. once you're inside Feel Good AF. I am going to help you rebuild your inner integrity so that you feel good about yourself again. Because I know what it feels like to feel like I'm leaving this double life where people think I'm super strong on the outside, but on the inside, I'm totally falling apart and I'm abandoning myself every single time I turn around. This kind of change isn't achieved through a tracker, a rule, or a reset, or just like trying harder and white knuckling it. It's built through relief first support, understanding your internal world with precision, pattern interruption at the exact right moment, capacity building that makes your evenings feel safe again, and micro self-trust that compounds into your confidence. So, emotional load regulation is so important because it's the way that you don't white knuckle your way through alcohol-free days. This is exactly what the work is like that we do inside Feel Good AF. And this is why my clients change deeply, permanently, peacefully. And your drinking is not the problem, it's a symptom. And when you learn to meet yourself at this level beneath the symptom, you stop negotiating with yourself. You're not going to spiral anymore, and you're not going to break promises to yourself anymore. This is the thing. We have to show up for ourselves. We promise everything to everybody else, and it's time to stop. It's time to keep promises to yourself right now. It's so important. And this way, you're not carrying this emotional load by yourself, and you start becoming the woman you actually are underneath it all. This is what I do. This is the method, and it's the difference. So if you've been trying to figure this out all alone, you don't have to. You know that you can book a discovery call with me or shoot me an email and talk about how this would fit in your life. I really want you to hear this part about dry January, okay? Dry January isn't hard because you're stopping drinking. Dry January is hard because you're learning to support yourself differently. And that is the work that actually lasts. This month isn't about being perfect. It's about meeting the parts of you that used alcohol as relief and meeting her with compassion, awareness, and capacity tools that work. You're not meant to do this alone. Maybe this is just another dry January for you, but maybe it's something bigger. Maybe it's you building the version of you that doesn't drink anymore because you know that willpower is going to run out. This is why you have to do this in a way that shifts your identity because otherwise you'll always feel like you're white knuckling. That's how the change happens. That's how self-trust grows. Okay. Wherever you are today, proud, neutral, or struggling, you're right on time. And the work that you're doing right now is changing you in ways you can't even see yet. If you want help understanding your pattern, if you want support that meets you in the exact moment that your urge forms, if you want to feel steady in your evenings, I would love to walk beside you. You don't have to repeat all of these same loops. There is a path out and you're already on it. I am cheering for you always. Happy wrap up of week 1 of Dry January. Thank you for listening to the Feel Good Alcohol Free podcast. If this episode landed for you, it would mean a lot if you left a review or take a quick screenshot of it and share it on social media. That's how this show reaches more women who are ready to stop living in the drinking loop and start leading themselves with confidence again. I'm on a mission to change the way high achieving women think about alcohol because you don't need more willpower or more rules around your drinking. You need real support, real tools, and the truth about what's actually possible for you. So keep showing up for yourself, keep telling the truth about what you want. And remember, the life you want isn't found in a glass or a bottle of wine. It's built in the decisions that you can stand behind, the ones that you feel really good about. My DMs are always open, and I can't wait to get to know you better. I will see you next week in the next episode.